Hey folks, this is Jake Davis with episode 5 of Bat by Bat. We're having some work done at our house today, so me and the family have set up camp here at Rancho Del Faz. So just going to chill here for a few hours while working men do working man things. This episode I'm talking about Val Kilmer and his one film as Batman Forever. I should point out in my Adam West video that Adam West is the only blonde to ever play Batman. Val Kilmer is blonde, but he didn't play Batman as a blonde, so it doesn't really count. He may be the only green-eyed Batman, though. I might be wrong about that. Probably am.
Not Batman.
Oh, we're talking Batman, baby. Oh, I'm talking Batman.
Nice.
Batman. He said, I'm Batman.
No.
Anyhow, so Val Kilmer came in after Michael Keaton had walked away from the project. Neither Keaton or Tim Burton were particularly interested in doing a lighter tone, more dozery, family-friendly Batman. It wasn't anywhere near what their movies were about. So with a new Val Kilmer's Batman also brought in a new director, of course, Joel Schumacher. And Schumacher, look, he pretty much up to his dying day a few years ago, all anybody ever talked about when they brought up his name was his Batman movies and how hated they were. Now, pretty much everything else he ever did outside of Batman was critically acclaimed, and he did a terrific job with. I think movies like 8mm, The Lost Boys, Flatliners isn't one I like, but it was a very successful movie. The Client. I feel like I'm forgetting a big one here. But the man was a very successful filmmaker. Tigerland, excellent movie. And the truth is, no one remembers it or talk about it, but when it first came out, Batman Forever wasn't just huge. People loved it. People loved Batman Forever. It was a very, very popular movie. It was a crowd pleaser, and it really looked like Schumacher had found a balance between the campy dozerness and the gothic Tim Burton films that were admittedly a bit too dark and kinky. There's also with Val Kilmer came the addition of Robin, Chris O'Donnell's Robin. And yes, Chris O'Donnell would have been a better choice for Nightwing, but the inclusion of Robin was also a big draw in this movie, and people wanted to see Robin in the Batman movies. Even the first and second movie, the attitude already was, "Where's Robin?" And our new villains too. We have Tommy Lee Jones, who is now playing Two-Face. Billy Dee didn't get to come back. Literally nobody has come back from the original films other than Michael Goff and Pat Hingle. We have new art direction, completely new looking Gotham City, completely new looking Bat costumes that include both ass crack and nipples. So that's really was necessary to be on armor. There's a new composer. Danny Elfman is out, and we now have Elliot Goldenthal doing the score. It's a good score, but I've always thought his score for these two films felt a bit too similar. Actually, it was way too similar to Demolition Man. I have Tommy Lee Jones coming in as Two-Face now. Billy Dee's gone. And Jim Carrey as the Riddler. Jim Carrey was on a roll at this time. He had Dumb and Dumber, The Mask, Ace Ventura 1 and 2, and he was on In Living Color. And that was just like, all this shit was really happening around the same time for this guy. So he was on the best role of his career. So he was a big deal, big, nice and hot in Hollywood. So him being part of Batman and playing the Riddler everything was good, and it blended, and it was very, very successful. Also Nicole Kidman as the new love interest, Chase Meridian. But when you take back and look at the fact that Schumacher had to take on this project, where we have a new Batman, we have a completely new production crew, we have a new composers. We have to establish two new villains, introduce Robin, and bring in a new love interest. And by the way, you got Burton's release date. Burton, who's already been working on this movie, He's out now. You don't get one extra day. It's still coming out in June of 95, and you got to get it done. It was damn near a suicide job. So Joel Schumacher, in all honesty, did a terrific job on Batman Forever. Is when he had a little bit more creative control. With the sequel, he saw just how bad his Batman ideas for Batman were. But as far as Kilmer goes, Kilmer, at a time, was one of the more popular Batmen. Unlike Michael Keaton, he was tall and muscular. Unlike George Clooney, he had a haircut that didn't make you want to slap him. And like I said, the movie overall was very well accepted, and people were looking forward to a second round. It was that second round that burnt everybody out. They rushed it. They didn't take any time on the story, and they didn't take any time with the characters whatsoever. But that's in my next video. Now, the reason Kilmer doesn't come back is apparently he butted heads with everybody, but especially butted heads with Joel Schumacher. Him and Schumacher didn't like to work together. Didn't like working together at all. And I've heard rumors at one point about Schwarzenegger was a no, because he originally for Mr. Freeze, because he didn't want to work with Val Kilmer, but that could have just been, rumor shit, I don't really know how true any of that was. But I've heard everybody hated working with Kilmer around this time, is what was, word around was. Schumacher didn't like working with him. Nicole Kidman didn't like working with him. Chris O'Donnell didn't like working with him. Since none of these actors ever worked with him again, there may be some truth to this. I heard one time Rick Baker didn't like working with him. The fucking makeup artist. So what the fuck did he even run into the guy working on this goddamn thing? Batman didn't need any goddamn special makeup. It was just... It seemed like the movie was successful, but Batman apparently once again was treated like he had nothing to do with the success of the film. It wouldn't be until Christian Bale that the guy playing Batman got some actual damn appreciation for the role, at least from the fans. That was the Kilmer years. The movie was, I loved it when I was a kid. And when I got older, in my early 20s, I remember started watching it with my nephews. They got older and into Batman, like around 3 or 4. I didn't enjoy it then, and really what has always been off-putting to me about the film is the villains. They're just too campy. Tommy Lee is just hamming it up, and Jim Carrey is just... He's never been like a real actor, you know what I mean? He's a great comedian. One of the best, but he can't act. And he always feels like he's looking right at the camera, even when he's got his fucking back to the camera. It's just, I don't know. I didn't enjoy him. The love scenes are some of the most obnoxious love scenes in all the superhero movies, but the movie is really driven by a good story that surrounds Batman and Robin. Their friendship, him not wanting to drag another person into this, them still dealing with the good, really, really good things they're doing with Bruce Wayne in the Tim Burton movies, like how Batman is crazy. It's acknowledged. He really sometimes doesn't even remember, was I Batman or was I Bruce when I met this person? Kind of stuff is just... Batman is such an obsession, he really doesn't have a life outside of it. It's just a facade. And Batman Forever kind of really drove that home. It was also nice to see the inclusion of the rabbit hole, which has been used in both, both the Bale and Affleck movies. Which is, I believe, originally first appeared in year 1. It may have gone back further than that, but I think it first pops up in year 1. Bruce falling down the rabbit hole and discovering the Batcave under the mansion. Anyhow, I'm happy to see Val Kilmer getting some actual appreciation in the last year or two. Documentary about him and everything. I've always enjoyed his stuff. His work and his performance in Tombstone was terrific. Hysterical performance in the film Real Genius. And he's a very, very small movie virtually unknown, called Wonderland, where he plays porn star John Holmes. I always thought he was a good actor, an unappreciated actor. But always had that kind of essence about him of, oh, this guy's difficult. But yeah, I thought if I were to rank the 8 Batmen, he's easier on the higher end, in my opinion. I'd probably save that for the end if I'm actually to rank them. But Keaton, Affleck, and then probably Kilmer, to be honest with you. Anyhow, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Nothing fun to talk about with the Nets movie. Well, it'll be fun to rip into it. I'm Jake Davis, and I'll catch you on the fly.